Podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
It is.
And how are you today, Lauren?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's temperature is down as we sit here, and a little bit of sprinkling going on.
Mm-hmm.
Got a Memorial Day weekend coming up.
We do.
Big day for racing. We'll talk about that on Sunday, or it is on Sunday. We'll talk about it today. If you want to find us on Instagram, we are there, Wilder Show Pod. Email is podcast@wildershow.com. The podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, sometimes on the TikTok, wherever you get your podcasts. Would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And we'll appreciate that. Did get some feedback on the word quiz.
Oh, yeah? Did somebody get it?
No. Someone said, I got so frustrated I had to look it up. It was driving me crazy. And I said, isn't it something?
Yeah.
I said, don't tell anyone. Hey, he didn't put the answer on the thing. I said, yeah, don't tell anyone. I said, take it and use it. And it's a great little quiz.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that a good little hint that I dropped the very first time we talked about it that I don't think anybody got.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's kind of funny. Again, it was just a 7-letter word in the English language, 7 letters, only 2 consonants, 5 vowels, all 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. There you go. We'll talk about the war. There's war stuff. I think we may have a very busy Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Well, you know, a lot of people are off on Monday. If you're off on Monday, guess what else is not happening on Monday? Wall Street is closed on Monday. It's a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
It's a good weekend for war. It's a weekend that allows the president to have a little more time before the markets open up again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to maximize your time, maybe this afternoon at 3:31 Central Time, you could begin it. And maybe by Tuesday morning, cooler heads could prevail. Anyway, we'll see. So the war, we have Cuba. I'm going to surprise you, I think, with my thoughts on Cuba.
Oh, really?
Thomas Massey lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that he might win, but he didn't. But why did he lose? We'll look at that. And who is Spencer Pratt? Is it Pratt or Platt?
It's Pratt.
Is it with an R?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Spencer Pratt. This guy has some of the most ridiculous campaign ads
Do we know for sure that those
ever.
are his campaign ads? Are they ads that he has financed? And
no, I think
and
some of them are not.
they're just sort of crowdsourced, maybe.
But he has posted some.
Uh-huh.
He has posted some himself.
Oh, he might love them,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he might not necessarily be the one who's like hiring people to do these things.
I think these are a bunch of kids that are just having a fun time being jackasses and just doing funny stuff. And it is funny. The stuff is funny. And could Spencer Pratt actually become the mayor of Los Angeles? We'll talk about that in a few. Remember, Thomas Massey, 4th Congressional District in Kentucky, Republican. He had won his seat to the House of Representatives the previous 7 elections. For the last 14 years, he had been there, but he lost. And he lost pretty big to a guy that nobody knew.
Right.
Say, wait a minute. It's the People's House, the House of Representatives, as we talked about. And as you know, you run for re-election every 2 years. You have an office in your district. You're not representing your state so much as you're representing your district. Your senators, only 2 per state, represent the state and the interests of the state. But the House of Representative members, the Congress men and women, those in the House represent their district.
Okay.
What's important to their district. So they have meetings in their district, town halls in the district, and all that kind of stuff. And he's done this for the last 14 years and has been reelected, sometimes like by 80%.
Wow.
I mean, huge margins, but not this time. So, why? How did he all of a sudden lose the favor of his constituents? Why? Secretary of Defense went campaigning there the day before the election. Not like we have anything going on like the war, and the Secretary of Defense, Sec War, whatever you want to call it, went endorsement by the president. But is that why? You know, the president had endorsed an awful lot of people recently that did not win.
That's right.
A lot of people are thinking, wait a minute, is this sort of the kiss of death? The political
For the
death?
president to endorse.
Yeah. Do you really want the president to endorse you? Maybe not. Well, this time, the president endorsed the opponent of Thomas Massey, and Thomas Massey was defeated. What do we know about the opponent? A fifth-generation farmer named Ed Galrein, former Navy SEAL, but that's about it. Political unknown, was drafted specifically to defeat Thomas Massey. So the president says, hey, we're looking for somebody to beat Thomas Massey. Any takers? And they got this guy. Okay, we're going to make you win. Just sit there and be ready for your victory speech. So why, if you voted with the president 89 or 97 or 91% of the time, why did you raise the ire of the president? Why? Or was it the president? Well, here's where some of the hatred came from. What is being said about the win? Why did he win? Why was the president so committed to have him defeated in the primary? He wanted the Epstein files released. He was against the big, beautiful bill, did not vote for it. He was not supportive of the war in Iran. Now, those three things have three things in common. The president was against the release of the Epstein files, was for the big, beautiful bill, and obviously is for the war in Iran. Mm-hmm. He's not the only one, though, that holds those positions. So what makes this different? Lawmaker from Kentucky. So Ed Galrein wins, and he beats Thomas Massey by, I think, 12 or 13 points. I mean, pretty significant, pretty good thumping. And it's all being sold as an example of how Donald Trump still has a strong hold on the Republican Party. But I don't think it's so much that. I don't. As I said, a bunch of his endorsed folks recently went down to defeat. So what makes this so different? Mm-hmm. Let me read to you from Haaretz. You ever read Haaretz?
I don't.
It is a newspaper out of Israel. It's a Jewish newspaper. In their Facebook and Instagram post, they wrote this. They showed a picture of Thomas Massey, and here was the caption: the most consequential Republican primary for Israel. Isn't that odd? So what makes this different? It's not just the endorsement of the president. It's the money. You know, John Cornyn was not endorsed by the president,
right? And
it was Ken Paxton. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, a lot of smart Republicans on Capitol Hill and in D.C. and on K Street, all those folks that are smart, the consultants are saying, yeah, Republicans can probably still win Texas in the Senate race against Tallarico, but it's going to cost them a lot more money.
How so?
Because you have to overcome some of the things that are, in their view, ridiculous about Ken Paxton.
Yeah.
You got lots of baggage going on there. Mm-hmm. You have different kind of baggage with John Cornyn, but truthfully, Cornyn voted with the president 99% of the time. You say every now and then, you don't come out strong enough here, or he thinks that Paxton is more kind of his kind of guy, which I believe probably is true, that Paxton is more the president's kind of guy than is John Cornyn. You can overcome things like skunkiness in a candidate, or the fact that the candidate has won the previous 7 times in election cycles. Okay, they've won before, but they never came up against this kind of money.
Yeah.
We're going to paint him this way. We're going to paint him that way. We're going to give the other guy a lot more name recognition. So how did it fall out with money? It was the most expensive primary campaign in history. More than $30 million was spent.
Oh, man.
Not to win the seat, to win the primary. To win the ability to go then try and win the seat. $30 million. Okay, so who was really, really motivated to do that? Who's going to spend that kind of money to make sure that you unseat, you primary a guy who's won the last 7 times? The Israeli newspaper Haaretz published a commentary, and it analyzed the race's broader implications. I'm quoting, noting that pro-Israel lobbying groups succeeded in unseating a rare Republican critic of unconditional U.S. aid to Israel. So, Thomas Massey was critical of unconditional aid by the United States to Israel. So he wasn't on board enough, yes, with what the president wanted to do, but the president, again, endorsed tried to primary a bunch of other people, and it didn't work.
Right.
So what was the difference? The money was the difference. The money was the difference. So where did the money come from? 3 PACs linked to pro-Israel donors spent more than $15.5 million. So more than half of what was spent, it was spent by just 3 political action committees. United Democracy Project, AIPAC's election arm, the Republican Jewish Coalition spent some, and MAGA Kentucky spent some. Anyway, when you total it all up, when you include things like the money that Paul Singer, who is a billionaire investor, pro-Israel guy, Miriam Adelson, we know her name. How dare she just fire Jason Kidd? Anyway, back to this. Miriam Adelson, she was part of it too. When you add all that up, the Paul Singer, the Miriam Adelson, and then AIPAC and other groups, it's more than $20 million of the $30 million. Wow. That is a bunch of money to get this one guy defeated. In fact, if you want to know more about Miriam Adelson, she donated $106 million to get President Trump elected. This seemed like an unnecessary note in the story in Haaretz. And I'm quoting now, Trump has openly admitted that Adelson has influenced his Middle East policies. Oh, you think? You think someone who spent $106 million
Yikes.
for you to be elected and then also has become the piggy bank to get the people that you want primaried, to get them beaten? You think those people impact the president's
That's the point, right?
Middle East policies? Of course it's the point. So Massey, gone. And here's the strange part. He's not gone for 7 months. This is the weird part. Think of that. He's primaried. Okay. Well, we still have an election in November. Yeah. And when then would whoever wins in November be sworn in? Well, January 1st. So you got a guy who's doing stuff you don't like and you get him primaried. You gave him 7 months to run around and do whatever he wants to do. And I think he's going to. Mm-hmm. And again, there are problems I have with Massey, but I have a bigger problem with the way this happened. This was essentially taken from the hands of the people in the 4th Congressional District in Kentucky. It was manufactured. Somebody else or an entity or a foreign country had an undue influence on what happened. I'm not sure that's the kind of representation for our country that is best. Spencer Pratt. Who is Spencer Pratt?
The only reason I even know the name Spencer Pratt is he was in a show a long time ago. When I looked it up, it was even longer ago than I remember. I think the show started in 2006, The Hills, maybe, and it was a
reality show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a show that I probably encouraged my young daughter to not watch.
Okay.
It was what at the time, I think there were a bunch of shows like that. My memory is that's when we first started being sort of inundated with shows like that, with a lot of really good looking people doing not very much, but hanging out and fighting with each other and
drama. Lots of drama.
And creating drama and content that would then spill into other areas.
It seems like a lot of it began when MTV decided we're going to stop playing videos. So we're going to start doing these reality
it was
TV
on MTV.
shows. So you have reality shows, that kind of nonsense and foolishness. Anyway, he's running for LA mayor. And I got to tell you, some of the ads that have been developed on his behalf or by his folks are really, really funny. Now, the interesting thing going on in California, you know, those of us who wanted voter ID, right?
Right.
We want voter ID. We don't want people who are not citizens to be able to vote.
Right.
You know, just citizens vote. And you have to prove that you're, registered to vote. You're, for example, a person living in California. So you can vote in the California or living in the Los Angeles city.
Yeah.
So you can vote for states can decide their own things. Election laws are set by the states. They're not decided by the federal government. So the new push underway at Los Angeles City Hall possibly would allow non-citizens to vote in city elections.
Do you mean non-citizens of Los Angeles?
Well,
non-citizens of California at all? Non-citizens of this country?
This is where it gets really interesting. He just said non-citizens.
Okay.
And they want non-citizens to be able to vote in Los Angeles elections, including the mayor's race and city council races. So council member Hugo Soto Martinez, whose district city 13 includes Echo Park, Silver Lake, Echo Park, and Westlake District, has put forward a proposal to ask Los Angeles voters whether they want to allow the city to explore the option of permitting non-citizens to vote in local elections. Here's what he said. Despite their many economic and cultural contributions, non-citizen Angelenos remain disenfranchised and underrepresented in the local elections and decisions that determine their quality of life. It is imperative that the city grant non-citizens the right to vote in the city they live and significantly strengthen to foster a more representative electorate. Now, bring all that up to say this.
So representative of not necessarily people who live there.
Right, that's right. But see, here's the thing. There are a lot of people who are going to, this sounds crazy, but if you don't have to have voter ID, and if you don't have to show that you are a citizen, there are people, probably a whole bunch of young people, who are saying, you know what? I'm going to go to L.A. and I'm going to vote for Spencer Pratt, even though they're not citizens there. Now, whether they're going to do that or not, what's going to be stopped or not, this is what happens when you open it wide up.
We could go vote there.
That's right. Just go out there. If we happen to be in L.A. on election day, go by and they go, where's your ID? I don't know. Actually, they wouldn't ask.
They wouldn't even ask that, right? They wouldn't have to.
Yeah, you just walk in and say, I'm here.
I'm here to vote.
I'm here to vote. Where's my ballot? And so it's probably a little more complicated than that, but I don't know, because states don't have to. We have a federal restriction against non-citizens voting, no question. But states can make up their own rules. That is sort of a beautiful thing, that states can decide for themselves what they're going to do. And is this guy, Pratt, going to win? Just a couple of things before we get to Scattershoot. Obviously, we have to talk about the war. Iran just yesterday said, hey, listen, really seriously, make no mistake about it, that nuclear stuff ain't going nowhere. That is what they were saying, that we're not doing anything. You're not getting the nuclear stuff. The United States is not getting the nuclear stuff. We're not going to send the nuclear stuff anywhere. It's ours. Uranium stays in Iran. Well, that is one of the big things. They want a permanent toll in the Strait of Hormuz. Who told you this? Who told you this? The whole thing in the Strait of Hormuz was not even ever an issue until we got there. And now we're viewing success. We're not going to get the uranium out of there. We'd be lucky to have them take off the toll in the Strait of Hormuz. So other than the stuff that's been broken, there's news today about the refurbishing and the redoing of all the reconstituting of their drones and all. It will take them far less time. So all these delays and delays and delays just allows them to keep rebuilding, keep fixing stuff, keep making more things. We now view success as undoing the thing that wasn't in place before we got there, and we'd be happy with that. It will go away if you'll open up the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to do it. We gave them the Strait of Hormuz, and the uranium ain't going anywhere. That's why I think it's going to be a busy weekend. I think at some point, as we've talked about, when the president threatens and threatens and threatens and never does anything, it's the old TACO, taco. Trump always chickens out. That's what they say. TACO. Well, I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay, give him a break. Okay, we're going to do it and give him a break. Great pressure right now from Israel to do it, to get back into it. They want us to get back into it. The reason I think this weekend could be something is that the market is closed on Monday. And I'd give at least a couple of days to bomb big, bomb hard, and then say we're done, or they're giving in, or say that they've agreed to something. We can sort it out next week. But I think the bottom line is Israel has goals that we don't have. Israel doesn't want us to stop until they have reached the success that they want. And it's different from ours. Our success is not their success. It should be enough if we are either ready to get out because we did not achieve the goals, or we have achieved our goals, then we get out and we tell Israel, good luck. Hope it goes well. We're handing this off to you now. Right. You can have the meetings. We're done. I say we should leave when we're done. And I think we're almost done. But I think this weekend could be a busy weekend. Cuba. There's a whole carrier group that is now in the Caribbean getting ready for Cuba. And let me just say one thing about this. If we can get out of Cuba the way we got out of Venezuela, if we get in and get out, I got no problem with it. Strengthening ourselves in our hemisphere is a good thing. Venezuela, we got Venezuela, put an embargo on oil from Venezuela to Cuba. They have an energy problem now in Cuba. We talked about the blackout portions of the day could be as many as 20 to 22 hours a day without power. That's because, in part, of what we did with Venezuela. So you got Maduro. He's indicted. He's arrested. They bring him in. Look what happened just day before yesterday or yesterday. They have the indictment of Raul Castro. By the way, is 94. You want regime change in Cuba? I think getting all the Castros out is a pretty good idea. So if we can do that and then, open up the energy, get a new group of folks in there running the government of Cuba, have it be strengthened. Any place that we are like that, China isn't and Russia isn't. We don't want China and Russia 90 miles off our coast. That's how close. Cuba is from Dallas to Waco. It's exactly 90 miles. That's how close. We don't want that. So if we can get in and we get out, I think it'd be fine. Be fine to strengthen our hemisphere. Now, that's the kind of thing I can get behind far more than what's going on right now in Iran. So there are so many things that it's an advantage doing it here in our hemisphere as opposed to literally halfway around the world.
Right.
That this part of the world is important to us in the same way that part of the world is really important to Israel.
Yeah.
But Israel is not going to be helping us here with Cuba or with Venezuela. We took care of that. I don't have a problem doing things that really strengthen our hemisphere. I think that's positive. It's positive when we are there, and it's positive that the negative of China and Russia are not there. That's going to come. It may not come this weekend. First, we have to take care of stuff. It could be a busy Memorial Day weekend. Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show, Scattershoot. All right. Going to be a long weekend. We got a big weekend. You do things special on whatever weekend this is? Memorial Day weekend?
Day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just take the day off on Monday.
Yeah, mostly just that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's big. It's a big racing weekend. I know that whenever I bring that up, Lauren, her eyes glaze over. The care factor goes to zero.
As hard as I tried, I don't really hear what you say.
Yeah. It's a great day of racing. Whether you like NASCAR, whether you like open wheel racing, or
unless you think that's an oxymoron. A great day of racing. I mean, unless you think that's an oxymoron. It's not personal.
Yeah,
there's plenty of ways that I might choose to spend a day that you would not choose to spend a day, and that's fine.
Okay. The Indy 500 is early in the day. The second race is the Coca-Cola 600. So you have one race that is the Indy cars. And obviously, it's in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then after that is the Coca-Cola 600, which I think is in Charlotte Motor Speedway. So you have both of these where sort of the birthplace of their racing, began, Indianapolis 500. And then the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And you have a girl that is racing in both races, I think, this time. Who's the girl?
I was going to ask what you think about that.
So it'll be a woman driver in both. That's kind of wild. With the Indy 500, Catherine, it's Legge. I don't say it's Leggy. I don't think that's right. Ledge, maybe? Ledge?
Maybe. I
don't know.
Anyway,
she's a British racer. She'll be doing the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day this Sunday. And it involves getting in a jet helicopter and leaving one to get there immediately. So you will have...
That's kind of cool.
It's very cool. No, it was done last year. No, attempted, I think, last year. There was a weather delay. So any weather delay at the first race, you're messed up. And that happened last year in the Indy 500. And so if there is no weather delay in the first one, she will have to get out of a car after going 5. We're assuming she'll finish the race. I don't know. I mean, some people will not finish the race. And so she will then get in a helicopter and go to Charlotte. And she'll be plopped down into a NASCAR. I wonder what number she is.
It's a little bit like Tom Joyner used to do. Only he used to do it every day.
Fly jock.
Maybe a morning drive radio show was not quite as intense as driving 500 miles.
Correct.
But maybe, depending on who you're doing it with.
That's right. So anyway, that's what I'll do. I'm going to watch racing on. I really do like it. I like to get all my cooking out of the way early in the day.
Oh, you're cooking. Are you going to cook stuff? What are you going to cook?
Oh, But I'm going to do all the cooking, get it out of the way. So all day long, all I have to do, I don't want to go to the store anymore. I don't want to do any errands anymore. From like 10 o'clock in the morning, right after church, until
a Memorial. We're talking about Memorial Day.
No. It's on Sunday. No, the race is actually on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got it. Okay.
So right after church, from right after church to 10 o'clock at night, depending on weather delays. Good for the girl. If the girl's driving a Ford, I'll be for, I guess. I got my own people I like. But it's kind of fun if she's in a Ford. That'd be nice. Anyway, so I'm going to watch the race over the weekend and I guess cook.
That's the part I'm interested in.
Yeah,
what are you cooking?
It depends on, my taste. Maybe some chicken. Maybe doing some outdoor. Maybe do a little indoor. Kind of also depends on the weather. I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that I don't want to be doing any of it on Sunday.
Okay. You think you're an extrovert or an introvert?
A little of both.
Okay.
I think I can be an extrovert, but really the main me is sort of more of an introvert, but I don't know.
Well, and I was going to let you answer. I was going to give you a little ramp up of why I even came to this. What brought me to this question? I was doing a news story about something else, and I came across a test to help you determine if you're an introvert or an extrovert.
I love tests.
And what I wondered, I thought it'd be fun to give you this test.
All right.
And I think I've known you for such a long time.
Okay.
I wonder if we would answer these. No, I'm not going to take the test. Not right now, at least. You're the only one taking the test.
Okay, I'll do it.
But we're both, you answer the question.
And you're going to see if you had guessed it right
if ours line up. They line up. Okay. So the first question, when a stranger talks to me, I consider it an opportunity to make a connection. Now, let me tell you how you're going to choose.
Okay.
You have five possible answers. Yep. On one end, it's disagree. On the other end, it's agree.
Okay.
Right in the middle is neutral.
Got it.
And then you've got, disagree mostly would be, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's the question?
That's the question. I can ask it again.
Ask it again.
When a stranger talks to me, I consider it an opportunity to make a connection.
Gotcha. And you can't go negative. One is the lowest.
Well, disagree. You can't.
One means
you can strongly disagree.
I won. I say no. I do not see it that way at all.
That's exactly what I would have said. For you.
Next.
Okay, being out with a big group of friends all night can be exhausting. Get every little bit of this.
All right, go ahead.
Okay? It's being out with. First of all, being out.
Okay.
With a big group of.
Yeah, I know where I'm going.
Friends.
Yeah, go ahead.
All night can be exhausting.
One.
Yeah.
Next.
No, well, agree. You're strongly agreeing.
Strongly agree,
that.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I consider myself to be an assertive person.
Strongly agree.
Can I? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd already answered it,
yes.
just so you know. Number 4, it's not unusual for me to get lost in thought around other people.
Lost in thought. But lost in thought is the lost part is not. Like, am I confused? I don't think I'd be confused around other people.
No, just kind of bored, maybe.
Like bored, and I'm thinking of other stuff. Like, come on, get on with it.
I would have answered that differently because I would have thought, well, no, I would have. So it's not unusual for me to get lost in thought around other people. It would depend on if the other people are talking or not, and if they're engaging you. Because I would think if they're engaging you, you'd be locked in.
Oh, well, that's true.
For opportunities, not necessarily to disagree, but to help them.
Very helpful.
That's so much.
I'll buy
that's
that.
so much better than I thought.
Next.
Not unusual for me to get lost in thought around other people. We're gonna say disagree.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that being on a reality show would be a nightmare.
Absolutely agree.
Agree. Gotcha. Got that taken care of already. I don't mind talking about anything, even if I'm not that knowledgeable about it.
Well, if it's perfectly into, often mistaken, but never in doubt.
Gotcha.
So,
strongly agree.
I strongly agree.
Strongly
yes.
agree with that.
I can win an argument and still be wrong. That's true.
I'd rather spend one-on-one time with a close friend than get together with a friend group.
100%.
Okay, gotcha. It's better to have a roommate than to live alone. Kind of depends on who the roommate is.
Yeah, I was going to say. Right? That makes it sound like if I say I agree, that makes it sound like I'm uncomfortable or enjoy less being alone. I'd say alone is okay.
Alone is okay. Yeah, better to have a roommate than to live alone.
Disagree.
So I would disagree with that. Okay. It's disappointing to review my weekly schedule and see that it includes no social plans.
That is completely untrue. Some people really view that as like it's a bad thing. Like, I just went to work and came home and did stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good week.
Okay,
Anyway, yeah.
gotcha. Disagree.
To each their own. Yeah, to each their own.
At work meetings, I think it's important to speak up often.
Well, this is interesting because we had a very important, we won't detail it, but a very important, high-powered meeting this week.
Yeah.
Including internationally known people, known around the world.
Exactly what I thought of when I first read this question.
And yet, my role in that was to keep the peace. So I had to, I would say we, but that makes it seem like I'm blaming you on something. It's easy for you to, do the right thing. But I had to subordinate my desire for people to know the truth about something or my thoughts about something in order just to keep the peace. It had to be enough. The peace had to be enough. And I didn't like, I liked it. I liked the peace. It's good. Talked both sides off the ledge. But there was something missing in me because they didn't know the things that I knew. But that's okay. Ask the question again and I'll apply all that.
Well, so when I first read this question, I thought about that exact same thing.
Deal.
And I think that it might be important to mention before the call and then after the call, there was a little bit of chit chat among those of us who were kind of on the periphery of the call.
People, the meeting before the call and the meeting after the meeting.
About how hard it might be for not just you, but
somebody
you
else too.
Also to keep quiet.
Yeah, let
and
it
there were
happen.
some mentions of super glue.
Yeah.
And
it's really funny. It's really funny. And the funniest part was the guy who mentioned that was talking about me, and he couldn't keep his mouth shut.
He was the one who actually talked.
I would have done more if it was needed, but the goal was peace.
Yeah.
And if we reached peace, then that's enough.
That was important.
And that was the most important thing. That was the only measure of success. So it was reached without them benefiting from my wisdom in every way.
So back to this particular question, and knowing that was kind of an outlier, that situation was kind of an outlier. At work meetings, I think it's important to speak up often. Would you say agree or maybe like strongly disagree, or maybe we'll give you some points?
I would say I'd say generally I feel like I can help.
Okay.
At work meetings. So I would say some agreement there.
Okay, gotcha. I have a lot of fun playing tricks on my friends and family.
That's not true. I mean, I'm silly, but I don't really play tricks on.
Not at the expense of anyone.
No. No, I don't hurt anybody.
So I'd say strongly disagree.
I think so.
On that, right?
Strongly no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to get my friends and coworkers excited about our plans.
Well, if it's something really needs to be done, I think I've had people describe me before as what is the one word they use the most when we are doing work that I have great
passion.
That's right. So I want them to have a passion for the work that is going on. If we have something we're doing, I want them to feel like this is not just a thing that we're doing. It is sort of who we are.
Yeah.
And so maybe that would be a yes.
How about agree but not strongly?
That's fine.
Agree?
I agree with that. That's fine.
Okay, very good. How about I don't like to feel pushed into dancing at parties?
Ooh.
I don't like to feel pushed into dancing at parties.
You can't push a guy who's running out there on the dance floor. So
that would never be you, though.
No,
I mean,
I'm
we
not,
haven't been to a lot of parties together where dancing was even an option.
That's right.
Maybe never.
No.
So I'm going to have to take your word for it.
I'm not really
a
dancer.
All right. When I'm in charge, I prefer meeting with people one-on-one to holding large brainstorming sessions.
That's true.
Agree?
Yeah, strongly.
Strongly agree. Okay. When I go to a party, I often think about how early it would be appropriate to leave.
100%.
Strongly agree.
100%.
I'd have gotten that right too for
You get there and you go, are we leaving yet? I think part of it, though, is I'm quite certain the party will be just fine without me. I don't think that I'm necessary for people to have a good time.
It's not that you don't want to be there. It's
that too.
Okay.
They are not necessary for me to have a good time. But also, I know that I'm not necessary for them to have a good time. Yeah. And I don't like pretending. We all pretend that, this is so fun. If it is fun, that's great. But sometimes people just go because they want to be busy and stuff.
Gotcha.
Want to bury their thoughts and sorrows.
If someone is interesting enough, I could happily spend an evening just listening to their stories.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Very good. All right. In work or in life, I'd rather take some time to consider the next steps, even if others are eager to rush ahead.
I think that's yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. As a kid, I was always the first to volunteer to read aloud.
That's true.
I think that's true. I wasn't there, and I could have answered that for you, I think. One of the great attractions of travel is the opportunity to meet new people.
Well, now this is going to sound like this is not me, but that when I travel internationally, one of the things I really do enjoy is just trying to blend in. So as counterintuitive as this would be, if traveling just meant, going to Waco and Austin and Lubbock or El Paso or something, I would say no to that. But I probably will agree if you include international travel. I do enjoy the things that I learned doing that.
So this is not so much just striking up a conversation with a stranger sitting next to you on an airplane.
I would never do that.
This is,
I would never do that.
I'm still going to give you agree.
Okay,
I think we're going to say agree.
That's fine.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the last one.
Uh-oh.
A day spent alone working on my hobbies sounds perfect.
Let me give that 100%.
Okay, very good.
I really enjoy the things that you enjoy if you enjoy doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And on a rainy day or really any day, and you can just hunker down and do those things. I think it's a good day.
Okay. While your test is being scored, I will tell everyone that if you would like to take this test yourself and see where you fall on the introvert, extrovert, whether you are either one of those, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Just send us an email. To podcast@wildershow.com, and I will send you the link.
Cool.
This says that you are somewhat introverted. You're not strongly introverted.
No.
Somewhat introverted.
See, I would probably guess that. I mean, I've said before, if I'm not being paid, I don't really want to talk.
Yeah.
If my task, I'm kind of task oriented, and if the task involves spending time with people, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can spin the prize wheel, go to remote broadcast. I can MC an event. I can host a party. If the task is to do that, I can do it. But as my nature, just spending time with people, I leave that to people that enjoy that more.
And I'm not an expert on any of this, but I think you're probably an extroverted introvert.
That's probably true.
You know who else calls herself an extroverted introvert? Our good friend Kathy Emmons. She says, she is an extroverted introvert.
But I would say this: I think she's a little more extroverted extrovert. At a table at a restaurant, I would not have questions for the entire table. I would not have, Yeah, she says
she's really good at that.
She's really good at that. But I would not put that in the introverted extroverted introvert. She's pretty extroverted.
Yeah, maybe
she's very,
so.
very
Maybe a little more than you.
conversationalist. I'm a little more sit and eat while y'all are talking.
She had, and to give a little more detail on that, she had these great sort of icebreaker questions. We've talked about how we used to travel in large groups of radio people, and it would be a whole bunch of people from radio stations who didn't know each other. Most of them might work for the same company, but they had no reason to have ever spent time together. And so you're at a dinner table or a lunch table of 12 or 14 people working for 3 or 4 different companies, and then maybe a lot of, within that, several different radio stations. And she would have the greatest questions. I've carried those with me. I ask those questions now at big family dinners just to kind of keep the, it's not even to keep the conversation going, but to talk about things maybe that you wouldn't normally talk about and get people talking about things they might not normally talk about.
Yeah, it's really funny because having traveled, like that, sometimes you'd be on a bus for like 4 hours. We drove from Ukraine or Kiev all the way to Moscow. So we went across the border, the Russian border into Moscow. And somebody on that, I think it was a woman, but somebody on that bus trip had to and really loved to lead group singing. To which I, at the first stop for petrol, I said, "This is the only bus, right? Can't go with somebody."
Did they tell you could find another mode of transportation if you'd like?
It's just that's the kind of thing that, hey, wasn't that fun? We all got to really, Well,
the whole reason I even came upon this was because I was reading about otroverts. Have you ever heard of otroverts?
Otrovert?
It's kind of new.
Is it O-T-R-O-vert?
It is O-T-R-O-V-E-R-T.
Huh.
It's kind of a new thing. It's a personality trait used by Dr. Rami Kaminsky, and the way he describes it is it's kind of a person who doesn't fit in. They're not really an introvert. They're not really an extrovert. He says he's an otrovert, and he started to recognize that himself after he started kind of seeing it in in his patients. It's sort of a feeling of otherness. He says otroverts, I don't want to say he says so much. Otroverts tend not to work well in groups. They don't ask for advice from others. They might agree with you wholeheartedly in a one-on-one situation, but the idea that there could ever be consensus in anything kind of baffles them.
I had never heard of this, so I looked it up when you were talking about it.
Yeah.
Key traits: emotionally independent, observant and empathetic, often feel like outsiders, even in familiar settings, value authenticity over belonging. I think that those all ring true for me.
You think so?
Social but not communal. They can comfortably engage in social settings and appear extroverted to others, but they do not feel an emotional pull toward collective group identity.
They're sometimes called faux extroverts.
There you go. They resist groupthink and traditional social rituals, preferring to formulate their own original ideas without seeking validation from the crowd.
Exactly right.
Independent thinkers.
Whereas most of us kind of search for connection, otroverts just don't have that. They don't look for somebody who thinks like they do. They don't look for somebody necessarily to pair with.
To validate.
To validate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Selective connections. They thrive in individual conversations and cherish deep, authentic connections over broad group belonging.
And it's not
Otrovert.
not something that you'll find on a scale somewhere between introvert and extrovert. It's different entirely. This Dr. Rami Kaminsky says that if you are an otrovert, you're in pretty good company. Albert Einstein, he thinks, was probably an otrovert. Frida Kahlo, Franz Kafka, and George Orwell.
There you go.
All people who demonstrated otrovert traits, the kind of things that you mentioned. Independent thinkers who don't really conform to trends or the prevailing ideas in their field.
Fascinating.
It's not in any peer-reviewed papers yet. It's a very new idea, but Kaminsky is working on that. He would like it to be something that's right up there with introvert and extrovert. You and I talked last time we were together about getting kids reading at grade level by the time they're in third grade.
That's right.
How important it is. It's an indicator of so many things, bad things that could happen if they're not, and successes that they are more likely to achieve if they are. And today we have this great list of the books that your kids have to read. It's a very long list, and it's separated into age groups. So some of these books are the books that you're going to read to them before they can even read.
Okay.
And it finishes up, much later with the books that they will most likely read on their own. Yeah. And hopefully, I think a lot of these books are probably books that they're classics. So they're books that you've already read. So when your child is able to read them on their own, you've got these great things to talk about. Some of these books, Beatrix Potter for the littlest readers, Winnie the Pooh, Little Bear, which I know
Let me tell
you and I both.
quick story about Little Bear. Little Bear, we had one of our boys had he was a little bit slower to get all the phonics and the pronunciations right. So for us, if you said that book to anybody, we would not call it Little Bear. We would call it Yiddo Bear.
Of course.
So it was Yiddo Bear.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. Betsy and Tacy, which the only thing I know about the Betsy and Tacy books is they're mentioned in You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail.
So that's that's the connection I have there. How about the Chronicles of Narnia?
Come on.
Love it.
Love it.
From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. That was one of those books that I read as a kid. Couldn't wait for my kids to be able to read and want to read. And then we were able to meet the author and get that book signed. We got a couple of her books signed. So that is a great one. Yeah, these are wonderful. This is a great list. I'd be happy to send this to you too if you want to send an email to podcast@wildershow.com. And I will send you the list of 50 books every child should read before 12. I think I remember you were a hacky sack guy.
You know, it's funny. I had a hacky sack when they were popular, and it was great. And I would use it mainly as a frustration thing, like the way you squeeze a squeeze ball.
You didn't try to keep it in the air?
We were in college, I guess we were doing that. Maybe late high school. I can't remember when they were popular. It seems like it was early 80s. It was after I was out of high school.
I kind of remember you. Did you think that hacky sack was cool? Was it a sign of something that the cool kids did?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Kids sitting around doing that. I mean, it's hard to believe now. But I know that I saw it somehow on the news again.
It's back. It's back. The hacky sack is cool again, which was what made me wonder. I can't remember if that. I think it was something mostly boys did. A lot of the girls were not really into it, but apparently they are all into it now. And the Gen X and millennial parents of these kids are thrilled because it's something that they kind of know how to do. And if a kid is there, if your kid is looking for a hacky sack and you can't find one because the stores are sold out of them, you might like dig through some of your old stuff and find your hacky sack.
I still have mine.
You do have yours?
Oh yeah, somewhere.
Can you do it still? Can you kick it?
I don't bend that way anymore.
Okay, that's kind of a common thing too. But apparently, it used to be only feet, but now they do it. They use their heads.
Oh, really?
And they use their shoulders,
like a soccer ball
but
type
their
thing.
hands.
Interesting.
I guess, yeah. And most schools where it's taken over allow them only outside. It's all over the place on TikTok.
Yeah.
People try to, there are hacky sack challenges and things like that. On rainy days, though, sometimes they make exceptions and bring them inside. No major injuries are reported yet, but Hadley Hazelton wound up in her school nurse's office after she bonked heads with a friend while they were trying to do a trick that they'd seen on social media. And she's a high school senior. And when she went to the nurse's office, she learned that she was just one of several hacky sack related injuries that week. She had to go to the ER to get a staple in her scalp.
Dang.
And now she's on a mission to spread the word about the game's dangers. She said, at least for the next week, while I still have this staple in my head, I'm definitely just going to keep a distance. But it's hard because it's kind of everywhere.
I think, when we were doing it back then, you would have two or three guys in a circle or in a group. And you'd kind of go back and forth. We weren't like vying for control of it. So I'm trying to figure out how it would be the case that two girls were, their heads conked together.
I think it was probably some kind of it was a
challenge.
Trick.
You said challenge. Okay, got
so
it.
it was something that they saw two people do on social media, and they were trying to. I guess it had something to do with sending it back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never had one.
Into it?
No, I never even had one.
I'll have to see if I can dig mine up. It's in some cigar box somewhere.
You have to do some tricks.
I got no tricks.
Oh, I bet you got some tricks.
No tricks.
I don't know if they're hacky sack tricks.
That is the Wilder Show podcast. Instagram, find us there, Wilder Show Pod. And you'll like it and all that. If you want to send us email for any of the things that Lauren had mentioned, podcast@wildershow.com. Or if you want to chime in one more time on that word puzzle.
Or you just want to say hi.
Or that, podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, on the TikTok every now and again. Wherever you get your podcasts, would you engage us there? Just 6 words or more in the comments. That makes a big difference. Like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. Had somebody this last week. They just wrote a bunch of random stuff, like take that algorithm, and then
just to get up to the 6 words.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with anything. It was great. So I love that kind of stuff. Anyway, do that wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll appreciate that. And Lauren, thank you.
You bet.
And we'll see you next time.
Do